All right, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Real quick, just want to do a quick add-on. All right, to this video here I was watching. I just actually finished watching it. It says the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. All right, it's GMS DocuTube. That's the Apostle Tahar's page. All right, and basically he was going into how the Samaritan woman, all right, at the well, all right, that she was a heathen, she wasn't an Israelite, okay, and as a matter of fact, let me pull it up. This is John 4:20, Salakia verse 19. It says, "The woman saith unto him, to Yahushai, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say," and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna come back to this, but let me see something real quick. Yep. I'm gonna jump up to verse 5. This is Yahushai. Verse 3. It says, "He left Judea and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria." Right? Now, and I did a video similar to this a while back, but we'll revisit it. So let's look up map of Israel, New Testament. Hopefully I can find a good one. Oh boy. Okay, this isn't bad. All right, so if you brothers can see, you have Judea, Samaria, Galilee, Decapolis, Perea. So if Yahushua was leaving Judea, all right, from whichever part of it he was, and he was trying to get to Galilee, he would have to go through where? Samaria. All right, now if you know the history of the Samaritans, this part right here was really filled with the northern kingdom. All right, but we're gonna go into that into a minute. But right now, I'm just giving you the visual, all right, of what it would look like. All right, so it says here he departed and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. So we understand that what it says. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. So we know Yahushua was going through Samaria. So when we're jumping down to verse 19, the dialogue that Yahushua is having with this woman, she was a Samaritan woman, all right, and they were in Samaria. So she said, "What? Our fathers worshipped in this mountain in Samaria, right? And ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship." Salakia. Verse 21, Yahushua saith unto her, "Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father." All right. So not in Samaria or in Jerusalem. Ye worship ye Salakia. Ye worship ye know not what. We worship, or Salakia, we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. So he's making a clear distinction between himself and her. And that's why he commanded his disciples not to go into the way of the Samaritans. All right. Now, she said what? They worshiped her. She said, verse 20, "Our fathers worshipped in this mountain," right? "And yet ye say that Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship." Because going back into the history, you had originally this was the land of Israel, right? It is still the land of Israel, but it was filled with Israelites from southern kingdom to northern kingdom. But after the split, okay, you have around the what was that, seventh century-ish BC, okay, around 722, you had the ultimate deportation of the northern kingdom, all right, from their lands, all right, into the lands of the Medes and so on and so forth, all right, under the Assyrian rule. Okay, so when you go into it, I'm gonna get this real quick. This is Ezra chapter 4 verse 2. Now this that we're reading in the book of Ezra took place after the Assyrian captivity and after the Babylonian captivity. All right, so it was during the Assyrian captivity that the northern kingdom got deported and taken out of their lands captive the Assyrian Empire, all right, into the land of the Medes and the certain Assyrian cities and provinces, so to speak, right? And then later on, all right, after the Assyrian Empire fell, all right, to the Neo-Babylonian Empire, guess what? The Nebuchadnezzar came and he carried away the southern kingdom, all right, into captivity. So what you had was you had the northern kingdom, they got taken captive, and then later on during the Babylonian the Neo-Babylonian Empire, okay, during the sixth century BC, guess what? The Southern Kingdom also got taken captive. All right, so dealing with the Northern Kingdom, what happened was when the Israelites got deported from their land, heathens were put into this land. All right, that was a method that the Assyrians would do. They would deport you out of your land, put you in a strange land, and they would put heathens. They would do the same thing to those heathens. So they deport them out of their land and put them in another land. All right. So just as Jake was taken from their land, Samaria and all these other areas, and heathens were put in these lands. Okay. So this is Ezra chapter 4 verse 2. I'll start at 1. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, what captivity? This was the Babylonian captivity. Oh, Salakia. No, this was during the Medo-Persians, because this was after Cyrus, all right, had given them the the go ahead, all right, or the decree to be able to go back and rebuild, all right, Jerusalem, rebuild the walls and all of that. Because during the Babylonian captivity, when they got taken captive, that was destroyed. You could read about that in the book of Jeremiah. All right, Jerusalem was put under siege, and the walls were broken down, burnt, all of that. So after the Babylonians fell, the Lord put the spirit on Cyrus, who was a Persian, Salakia, who was a Persian, to what? Give the decree for them to go back and rebuild it. All right. So now I'm going to read this. It says here, now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Assuradon, king of Ashur, or king of Assyria, which brought us up hither. All right. So these adversaries were heathens that the king of Assyria had put into the land. All right. And we're gonna read about that. All right. This is 2 Kings 17, verse 30. No, Salakia. Verse 25. You know what? Let's start at 22. 2 Kings 17 and 22. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did, they departed not from them, which was heavy idolatry, until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets, Hosea, Isaiah, Amos. Okay. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. So Israel got taken out, like we mentioned. Verse 24, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Ava, and from Hamath, which is Syria, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. Okay, so those Samaritans that were put in the land after the northern kingdom got taken out were heathens. All right, that the king of Assyria had put there, like we just read in the book of Ezra. Okay, that what they like it says here, that we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Assuradon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. All right, that's a good couple hundred years. Okay, so when this woman said what she said, our fathers worshipped in this mountain, talking about Samaria, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship, because she she was a part of those heathens. Because guess what? They were in the land. All right, they were in the land, and they stayed there. And we're gonna read what happened. Because when they first got put into the land, they were doing their heathenistic stuff over there. And so, what did the Lord do? Verse 25. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not Yahweh. Therefore the Lord sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nation which thou hast removed, the Israelites, and placed in the cities of Samaria. Oh, Salakia, these were the heathens that the king of Assyria put into the land of Samaria. So I'm gonna read it again. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land. Ooh, John 4 and 22. What do Yahushua say? Ye know, ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Okay, so I'm gonna read it again. It says, verse 27, and then the king of Salakia, verse 26. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the God of the land. Verse 27. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom ye brought from thence, who was an Israelite, more than likely a Levite, and let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the manner of the God of the land. So he went there, he taught them that, well, it's going to say it. Then one of the priests whom they carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear the Lord. So he taught them, these are the custom, these are the days you got the Sabbath days, and all the different stuff of the land, right? So you had heathens that were taught, all right, by an Israelite priest, okay, and how to keep the laws in that land, so they wouldn't get the asses torn up by them lions, all right. And so what happened? They dwelt in that land, and they continued to they continued to keep those customs, so that they wouldn't get eaten up, all right. Verse let me see, Salakia. All right. I'll just read it right through. Okay. It says da da da, verse 28. Yeah, right. It says, then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear the Lord. Howbeit every nation made gods of their own, and put them in their houses in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And so Samaria was like a melting pot, so to speak, of the heathen nations that were put in there, okay, by the king of Assyria. Now you also had Jakes that were intermingled in there as well, okay. And the men of Babylon made Succoth Benoth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima, and the Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burnt their children in the fire to Adremelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. So they feared Yahweh, and made unto themselves of the lowest of them priests of the high places, which sacrificed for them in the houses of the high places. All right. So what this mean was, they didn't become Israelites, but they just learned how to do certain things in a way that would avoid them getting a heavy judgment, like those lions that kept tearing their asses up. All right. It says they feared the Lord, and served their own gods after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence. Unto this day do they after the former manners. All right. They fear not the Lord, neither do they after their statutes, or after their ordinances, or after the law and commandment which the Lord commanded the children of Jacob, whom he named Israel. All right. But now we understand that what this was the history behind the Samaritans. That's why there was a beef between Israel and the Samaritans. All right. Because after the northern kingdom got taken out into captivity, not the majority of them, this is what happened. Second Ezra 13, verse 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, which is the Greek transliteration for Hosea. Hosea was the last king of the northern kingdom. All right. So it says what? It says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land, like we just read. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. So what happened here? The northern kingdom, when they got taken into captivity, after the Babylonians, or the Neo-Babylonian Empire came to rise and the Assyrian Empire fell, the northern kingdom took that counsel, all right, and they said, what? We're gonna leave this place, all right, and we're gonna, because they were still in the lands of where they were deported to. So they decided to what? To leave that area, leave the east, and come to where? An area where never mankind dwelt, which was here on the west, which is now called America. That's how you have the northern tribes and the Latinos here. The Native Americans, the Seminole Indians, North American Indians, all right? All of them, well, guess what? They're the 10 tribes that came here, all right? Verse 45, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. The same region is called Arsareth. And when you look up Arsareth in I think it's a Jewish encyclopedia, it's associated with America. Okay. So when the northern kingdom, all right, making the point that when the northern kingdom got taken into captivity, the majority of them, okay, came to the Americas after that. They didn't return back into Samaria. Okay. But you also had some of them that returned back to Jerusalem, and some of them that decided to stay in the lands where they were taken. They might have had good lives. They decided to stay there. Okay. But the majority of them left and came to the Americas. So in that land which they were originally dwelling in, guess who was in there now? Heathens and some Jakes, all right, mixed in there. But like we just read, you had heathens in there. So this woman at the well, the Samaritan woman, was a heathen. But the reason she said that her fathers worshipped in that mountain was because that was the history. They were put into that land, all right, and they were taught the customs to keep so that they could stay in the land. Nonetheless, that didn't make her an Israelite, and that's why the Lord told the disciples, "Go not into any city of the Samaritans, all right, to any city of the Samaritans enter ye not." Okay, because you needed to be able to be on a certain level to discern who's an Israelite and who's not. Okay. But yeah, that's basically it. I'll finish it off here, verse 22. Ye John 4 and 22, ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. All right, and that starts with the elect, man. Okay, so with that, I hope this was edifying unto the elect, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.